Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the Kathy J Show, everybody. Happy Monday. I am Kathy J. I'm so honored that you're hanging out with me. Thank you so much. I know you have a lot of options this half hour, so it means a lot that you take your time to spend it with me. I appreciate it a lot. And remember, you can always catch up on shows at kathyjshow.com, and there's a place for viewer comments. So I just want to give a little quick shout out to everybody out there that's sending us viewer comments that are telling us that you are connecting to everything we're talking about. It means the world to us because that's what we're doing here. That's what we're trying to do. And a quick shout out to my friend Kathy. Congratulations on your retirement. And I'm so happy that you're hanging out watching Peyton every day, watching me every day with Peyton. All right, so today I want to talk to you about Native Americans, the Native Americans of this great country of ours. Today, if you didn't know, is Indigenous Peoples Day, and it's a day to celebrate them. So that's what we're going to do here. Ancestors, if you didn't know, Native Americans, current living Native Americans, their ancestors can be traced back here in the United States by at least 15,000 years. So yeah, do the math. I can only go back about 250 years in my bloodline here in the United States. So 15,000 years. Some archaeologists actually say they go 30 to 40,000 years back. Archaeologists refer to Native Americans as the first Americans. Currently, if you didn't know, there are 574 federally recognized American Indian and Alaska Native tribes and villages in our country. 34 states in the United States have tribes in them. And yes, Colorado is definitely one of them. We have two of them, the Southern Ute Indian Tribe and the Ute Mountain Indian Tribe. Now, I'll admit it, okay, so my knowledge of Native Americans growing up was only what I saw in images on TV, magazines, movies, whatever where I saw them. It was either the brave solo rider out on the prairie, or it was the savage, always fighting the cowboy. That's about all I got. Until I went to college, because I became immersed in Native American heritage and culture because I went down to college at Fort Lewis College down in the Four Corners. So shout out to all my fellow alum that went down there to Fort Lewis, and I loved it, man. Like, I loved Fort Lewis. I loved all 4.5, 5, 6 years that I was there for my undergraduate degree. Go Fort Lewis! Seriously though, I had a great time. It was where I had my first radio gig, my first comedy troupe, and I met amazing people that taught me a lot. And one of the things that I really liked about Fort Lewis College was that they gave free tuition. They give free tuition to Native Americans. So about 40% of the student population at Fort Lewis College is Native Americans. So that meant that my suite mate was Southern Ute Indian Tribe. My other suite mate was Scandinavian Native American from Alaska. And my best friend was Navajo from the mighty Navajo Nation, which is the largest Native American nation reservation in the country. It's about 25,000 miles, covers 4 states, Colorado, New Mexico, Utah, Arizona, right in there. She was from Flagstaff, right? So I loved learning everything I could about Native American cultures, the rituals, everything. I had classes on Native American culture because I was part of Fort Lewis College, and that's just what it was in Fort Lewis. So it was about diversity. And Fort Lewis also had this Native American Cultural Center where I just went, and that's where I studied. I learned about Kachina dolls. I learned about their rituals, their powwows, everything I could, and how they pass it down and how they can't pass it down. I learned some hard truths, things that were not in my history books growing up. And as I said a moment ago, my best friend was Navajo, and we were inseparable. So Audie and I were trouble in the clubs, and we were trouble on the reservation. So I learned a lot from her. I've been to the Navajo reservation. Her family welcomed me in with open arms. And when Audie and I went to Pearl Harbor in Hawaii, we both put cornmeal on our foreheads for protection from the dead. She was an amazing friend. And today I'm very excited because my guest grew up here in Colorado, and she is from the Crow Creek Sioux Tribe up in South Dakota, and she's going to share her life with us, what it's like to be a younger generation of Indigenous people, and we're going to learn all about it when we come back after these messages. Kathy J. Oakwood Homes is an official partner of the Kathy J Show. Oakwood Homes, building happiness. Kathy J. Welcome back to the show, everybody. So today on this Monday, we are learning about what it means to be an Indigenous person in 2021. Today's Indigenous Persons Day. So we're going to Indigenous Peoples Day. So joining me on the couch, please welcome to the show, Dakota, Native Pride Zamora. Everybody, yay! Thank you for being here. So Dakota, before we get started, everybody, I just want to say, come back to me as well, thank you. I just want to say that in Dakota's culture, Dakota identifies as two spirits. So today, I'll be referring to Dakota as they or them, so just so you know, that's where that comes from, which I think is really cool. Okay, so Dakota, let's talk about, you are from the Crow Creek Sioux Tribe of South Dakota.
Yes.
Tell everybody your history,
So,
the tribe's history.
Yes. So our tribe is originally from Minnesota.
Okay, that's your flag, right?
Yes,
Okay.
that's our flag.
You're from Minnesota. Who knew there were tribes up in Minnesota?
Yeah.
That's where you started.
Yeah, that's our original homeland.
Okay, how did you make it to South Dakota?
We were moved by the government, part of them relocating a lot of the native tribes.
Okay, it wasn't, you weren't part of the Trail of Tears
No.
Dakota tribes, right? I mean,
Yeah.
okay.
That was the Cherokee and
Okay.
more of the southern, southeastern tribes.
But you were moved nonetheless.
Yeah.
Okay.
Part of them clearing the way for the settlers and all of that kind of
All of that stuff.
super fun stuff.
Right, okay, so you end up in South Dakota.
Yes.
And did you grow up on the reservation?
I did not. My grandparents did, and they made the decision to not raise their children there.
On the reservation?
Yeah.
Is that your grandfather?
Yeah, that's one of my grandma's siblings.
Uh-huh.
That's my grandpa Avery. That's my older sister. That's me in the middle, and my younger sister Jordan.
That's awesome. So he's your grandma's sibling, but you call him your grandpa?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's a native thing.
Okay, meaning an elder is just, you refer to them as, what's the native thing? How do you refer to the elders?
So anyone in our grandparents' generation we refer to as grandma or grandpa.
Period.
Just as a respect thing.
I agree, yes.
Especially if it's a member of your family.
Uh-huh.
Anyone from your parents' generation is going to be aunt or uncle.
Okay. And you know what though, I think we kind of do that anyways without really realizing that you're doing it.
Yeah, definitely.
Totally. Okay. All right, so what is life like on the reservation? You grew up in Thornton. Thornton kids in the house right here. You grew up in Thornton, but you did go home every year. Your family is home.
Yeah.
I mean, your bloodline is home on the reservation.
Yeah.
What was it like when you'd go home?
It is definitely hard going home, just seeing the condition that a lot of people live in there.
Is it as poverty-stricken as we see and assume on the news?
It's a lot different, but also a lot harder than a lot of people would think.
Like how? Because there's no electricity.
Yeah, a lot of people don't have reliable electricity. A lot of people don't have running water.
Mm-hmm.
Especially in South Dakota, there's a lot of people living in conditions that are equal to like third world countries.
You're absolutely right. When I would go to the Navajo Nation, I saw the same thing there.
Yeah.
And it depends on how much money the tribe gets, correct, and what they want to do with that money. Okay, and there's corrupt people everywhere, so sometimes the money doesn't go to the people.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes. Okay, and that's what a lot of nations, a lot of reservations are struggling with.
Yeah.
Do you feel though that the tradition of the Native Americans, of the Sioux is alive in younger generations? And if so, if not, why?
I feel like it's definitely coming back.
Yeah.
It's becoming easier to reconnect for us.
Okay.
Because at least for me personally, it's becoming more important for us to reconnect because we need to be able to kind of, what's the word I'm looking for?
Keep it going?
Keep it going.
Yeah, for sure.
And bring it back to what our grandparents couldn't do.
Now, do you think one of the things that we had spoken about when you were growing up, one of the reasons they couldn't do it is because when white men came in and moved everybody to where they thought they needed to be on reservations, they then took younger generations of the Native Americans and tried to take them to boarding schools, correct? Yeah. And at those boarding schools, they tried to teach them English and Christianity.
Yes.
And that's kind of ruined the Native American cultures because then, do you practice Christianity or do you practice a Sioux religion?
I grew up practicing Christianity.
Okay.
that's just
my friend did too. My Navajo best friend, they were Christian as well, and so it must be hard hanging out when you know what's been done to your history and to your ancestors.
Yeah.
Do you struggle with that? Are you angry?
I definitely do struggle with that. It's definitely a hard thing to kind of reconcile in my own head, knowing what was done in the name of Christianity to my people and to just Native Americans in general.
Right.
But also knowing that that's what's given like my grandparents like the faith to like keep going.
Yes.
So that's hard to personally reconcile.
Right.
But also knowing what was done
is hard to
it's hard to do.
It's very hard to handle. Since today is Indigenous Peoples Day, what is it to you? What does it mean to you?
Knowing that it's finally in Denver recognized as Indigenous Peoples Day.
And not Columbus Day.
Not Columbus Day.
Right, exactly.
Is so awesome.
Yeah, that's true.
To finally feel like we're finally being recognized as the original people here.
First Americans.
As the first Americans and not the person who originally started the genocide of Native Americans here.
Right.
Of the Taino people.
Exactly. That's exactly right. And so that's why we don't celebrate Columbus Day anymore, everyone. She just put it out. What about Thanksgiving? What would you tell your kids? Because you were the only Native American kid growing up in Thornton.
Yeah.
Okay, so and your teachers would always have you talk on Thanksgiving and say, what would you tell the kids? Because it wasn't what I learned. I didn't learn. So what would you tell them? Your classmates.
Yeah. I mean, when I was younger, it was harder because when you're younger, you don't really know as much.
Yes.
So you just kind of like go along with it. But as I got older and like my mom would teach us what the actual story of Thanksgiving was, and as I kind of got to learn what it was myself.
Right.
I would definitely go out of my way to be like, hey, this isn't what happened. Like, the settlers were celebrating killing the natives who taught them how to grow the corn and how to survive in this new land that they were in, and that's why they were celebrating.
Yeah, so we'll leave it right there. That's perfect, Dakota. Thank you so much. All right, when we come back, we're going to talk about the powwows and all the cool rituals that happen in Dakota's tribe. We'll be back. Thank you. Kathy J. The Colorado Lottery is an official partner of the Kathy J Show. Colorado Lottery, play on. Welcome back to the show, everybody. So today we're talking to Dakota from the Crow Creek Sioux Tribe in South Dakota. She's also a Thornton kid here in Colorado. Thank you for being here.
Of course.
And thank you for your honesty. I appreciate it a lot. Thank you. So you being from the younger generation, your tribe, does anyone speak the Sioux language anymore?
A lot of people back on the reservation do.
Okay.
It is kind of hard because a lot of the elders were taken to the residential schools and the boarding schools and were forced to stop speaking the language.
Right, so it's hard to remember the language.
Yeah.
So this is you with your father, or I'm sorry, your grandfather again. And we're showing the picture because it was you, hopefully we'll get it up, but you with your grandfather, that's as young as you were when you started doing powwows, correct?
Yeah, I've actually been doing them as long as I can remember.
That's awesome.
Ever since I was super, super little.
What's the purpose of a powwow?
It's really just a gathering of Native people being able to come and dance and be able to do all that kind of stuff.
That's awesome. Okay,
Yeah.
so you brought this today.
Yes.
This is we do have a herd dancing in a tribal powwow. We'll get that in a second. All right, tell me about your beautiful cloak.
So this is a fancy shawl.
A fancy shawl.
Fancy shawl. And that's just the style that I dance.
Okay.
Because there's different kinds of dancing.
And you do the fancy dance?
Yes.
Okay.
And it's actually the newest style of the women's dancing.
I love it. We're going to show a video of it. Okay, so what does this mean? What symbolizes here?
So the colors are the blue and the yellow. They're my tribe's colors, and they also happen to be my favorite colors. So that's where those come from.
Yes, absolutely.
And the paw prints are just the wolf paw prints because they're my favorite animal.
Is it your spirit animal?
I wouldn't say it's my spirit animal, but if I had to choose, that'd probably be it.
This is beautiful.
Thank you.
Okay, now I want to talk about your powwow, your dance. We just showed a little bit of the video.
Yes.
You are a great dancer.
Thank
oh
you.
Oh my God, look at you. So you are, which one are you? So we can have everyone see. Where's your gold dress? Look for the gold dress, everybody.
I'm down over there in the brown, kind of the very back right.
Okay, the very back right. There you are. Okay, I see you.
Yeah.
What, you have the brown coat on with the headpiece.
Yes.
Okay. What are you doing now? Explain what's happening. Is everyone,
So this is called Ruffle Dance.
Uh-huh.
It's actually the men's fancy dance style.
Okay.
And that's also the newest kind of style. It came about from Buffalo Bill's Wild West show.
Oh, for real?
They wanted a super fast kind of showy style.
So the Native Americans that were in Buffalo Bill's Wild West show came up with that. It's almost like a double step.
Yeah.
Like it's really
super
cool.
fast and super crazy.
It is. And then so the dancing and stuff, it's not like, I mean, this is a silly question, but are you asking for rain? Are you like, what is the purpose of the dance?
Fancy shawl, no.
Okay.
Jingle dress dancing, it's a different style of dancing. My sisters do it.
Uh-huh.
And that's actually a prayer dance. All of the jingles on it represent a prayer each, and as you're dancing, you're asking for prayers of healing.
Yes.
Or just any kind of prayers that you're trying to have answered. That's kind of what you're doing there. Fancy shawl, no.
Fancy shawl's not that.
Yeah.
Okay, so before I let you go, let's talk about some misconceptions out there. I want to clear some things up. One of the big misconceptions with Native Americans is you guys get free money.
Yeah.
Will you please address that?
We do not.
Okay.
That is something that's definitely super frustrating that I've heard my entire life. Mm-hmm. And especially with the rise of like social media and all that kind of stuff, that's something that I see of people being like, why are all these natives complaining? They get all kinds of free money just for being native, and that's not accurate at all.
Exactly.
Like if
you guys were rolling in money, you'd have water and electricity on the reservation.
Exactly,
right. So that's a misconception.
Yeah.
Okay, what about, and like I said, well, I went to Fort Lewis where you had free tuition, and you said, well, it's not like I did everything I wanted to study, they didn't offer at Fort Lewis.
Yeah.
So it's not like that option was there for you like that.
Yeah.
So I like that. What about the stereotypes of Pocahontas and all of that? Halloween is right around the corner.
Pocahontas is another one that makes me personally super angry.
Okay.
She was a child.
Uh-huh.
And she was assaulted by a white man. Mm-hmm. And that's something that's still so prevalent for Native American women and people that dress up as Pocahontas and want to be this Indian princess or whatever, that just further sexualize us.
Yes.
As a survivor of stuff that's happened to me, it's so angering.
It's so real.
And it's so real that stuff like that happens. 1 in 3 Native women are a survivor of an assault like that.
Wow.
And and most of the attackers are white men.
Wow.
And my attacker was a white man.
Oh, wow.
So to have people be like, "Oh, it's just an innocent Disney story." It's not.
No, it's leading men to think something different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like she was a child. She was 8 years old when she was attacked and taken to England.
Yeah, they don't say that. There's goosebumps right there, everybody. Yeah,
she wasn't 18, 19 years old.
She died at like 15.
Yeah.
So, and that was after her journey to England and everything. And
Exactly.
so, yes, you're absolutely right. She would have been that young. Mm-hmm. My daughter's 8 years old. I couldn't imagine that.
Yeah.
So, all right, everybody. So, Dakota, we'll be right back with Dakota, but I just hope that everybody, thank you for hanging out, as always, on the Kathy J Show and opening up your ears and your heart to whoever's sitting on the couch. We'll be right back. Kathy J. Ramos Law is an official partner of the Kathy J Show. He's a medical doctor and a lawyer. Ramos Law, what makes us different makes us better. 30 minutes goes by so fast, everybody. I have to say goodbye in a second, but you can always find more at kathyjshow.com. Dakota, thank you for being here today. It was so brave of you to come and share your story with everybody on Indigenous Peoples Day. Thank you. I do want to ask you before we leave, how many people if people leave the reservation, are they shunned? Are they allowed to come back? Are they defectors? How is that looked upon?
Back in the day, it was really looked down upon. Now, not so much.
I heard a statistic like 74% of Native Americans do not live on reservations.
Yeah.
Like it's big, right?
Yeah.
Right. So obviously they're getting the message like no running water here. We got to go out here for our kids' futures.
Exactly.
Is there a final thought you want to leave with our viewers today?
It's definitely to not trust your history books.
Amen. Amen. Don't trust your history books, everybody.
There's a lot more to learn than what you're taught in school.
Absolutely. And there are beautiful things to learn as well. Know the truths about how our country was created, but also know the beauty about the cultures that have maintained themselves for over thousands and thousands of years. Thank you so much. And if you want, please check out more at the Crow Creek Sioux Tribe website that we put up. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. It was awesome.
It was awesome. Have a good one, everybody. Happy Indigenous Peoples Day. Is it done? Are we got? Yeah!
Woo!